everyone. I'm so excited that you could join me today. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rachel Bragg, and I am so excited to share my journey with you as I found the things that completely changed my life. So 7.5 years ago, my Soul Naturals journey began. I was raised with natural health. I had a grandmother who was an herbalist. She taught us that there were always alternatives to whatever we were going through. But it wasn't until I went through my own journey that I was on a mission to find the right combinations. And so I'm going to share that with you right now. I, like many others, struggled for many, many years. I think as early on as I could think or feel, I remember feeling pretty much helpless, feeling the desire to numb out somehow from my life, from how I felt. I truly do believe that I dealt with depression and anxiety from a very young age. I do believe my environment contributed to it, but I do believe there were imbalances going on top of it. So I've always struggled, and because of those struggles, I tended to turn to outside sources to try to numb myself, to make me feel better. I didn't know what to do or where to turn. So many times we turn to toxic things in order to fill the gaping hole that we feel inside. So that led me to making choices that caused me more pain. When I was 15, I got married. I thought that was going to solve my problems and get me out of a toxic situation, but lo and behold, I went into a whole nother toxic situation 100 times worse. So don't do this at home, kids. So then I got pregnant after I got married. Yes, I know, shocking, because why would anyone do that, right? You must be pregnant, right? No, I wasn't. But I did get pregnant after. And when I was 16 years old, I was in a car. The driver had been drinking and was going extremely fast. I was not in a seatbelt. Mind you, I'm 6 months pregnant at the time, 16 years old. I'm sitting in the middle console because his little sister was with us, so she was in a seatbelt. Next thing I know, the truck is rolling, and I was ejected out of the truck, and the truck rolled over my lower body, crushing me. At that moment, my journey to survive began. I can look back on that now, and I can be grateful for who I became because of all of it. So now I'm going to talk about that. At that moment, my fight to survive was in full force. The truck rolled over my lower body, crushing my lower half. And once I knew I was conscious, that was it. I was fighting to live. The doctors told me I wouldn't make it because I lost so much blood, and I don't take blood transfusions. So that was a huge, huge issue right on, but I was determined to do what I believed was right. And I got to the hospital. They saved my life. Thank goodness, because goodness knows I wanted to survive. And so they put me back together again. They saved my life. They stopped the bleeding. And unfortunately, that baby didn't make it. So I'm 16 years old. I am bedridden. The doctors told me I wouldn't walk again. I was determined to prove them wrong. I knew that I was going to walk. And I've always had that like determination and tenacity that you tell me I'm not gonna be able to do something, you can bet your butt I'm gonna do it. And, but with that came so much trauma because I'm 16, I had to deliver a baby that wasn't alive, and I didn't know how to cope with it. Who does, right? Who does? I don't care what age you are, we're not designed to go through this. And here I am, bedridden. I'm so traumatized. I'm in horrific physical pain, but like more importantly, I'm in horrible emotional pain and I can't move. I'm trapped in this bed and replaying everything in my mind. And the first time I remember getting that shot of morphine, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is all I've ever wanted my whole life. And especially now. And that was the beginning of a process that took over my life, because I didn't know how to cope with everything going on. And over time, well, first of all, I did learn to walk again. And the doctor said I wouldn't be able to have kids, but I did. I had two beautiful, beautiful girls. It doesn't matter how many times I tell this story. It's like, because I'm very passionate about what I do because of how hard it was for me throughout my life to overcome the things that I've been able to overcome, despite what people said. That's why you never let people determine what your outcome is going to be. Never. Don't you ever let anybody tell you what you're going to do or what you're not going to do. It's up to you. So that led me on a journey of addiction, depression intensified, physical pain. I mean, I was an athletic kid before this, and now I can hardly stand, which I'm grateful I can walk, but I was in pain constantly, physically in constant pain. And on top of it, the emotional pain of the loss I went through, and I didn't know how to process it. I wanted to shove it in. I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted it all to go away, but we all know that's not how this works, how life works. You can't do that without it rearing its ugly head at some point. So I became horribly addicted to my opiates over time. It wasn't something that happened right away, but there was a lot of other factors in my life that contributed to my feeling absolutely helpless and hopeless. And so it led me on a journey. And I didn't understand addiction. Like, this isn't something I understood, you know? I thought it was about willpower and you should be able to stop and this and that. And being that I'm a spiritual person, like, you know, I should be able to overcome this. And it was literally taking over my mind, my body, and my life. And I knew I was going to die. Like, I could not stop. And I was so ashamed. Like, I've already struggled with that my whole life. I have felt worthless. I had no self-esteem, just like trash. My whole existence, I felt like that. And now here I am, a mom and a wife, and I cannot control this. Oh my gosh, I just felt like I didn't deserve to live. Like, I literally got to that point where the world's better off without me, like, except my kids. Like, I couldn't do that to my kids. So I finally admitted I had a problem. I went to rehab. I felt on top of the world, like 30 days, you know, you're away from everything. You're in a bubble. And I thought I would never go back to it ever again. I'm so happy. And then I go back to real life with all the imbalances in my brain and my toxic situation I was living in. And I went right back to it. 5 rehabs, you guys. Like, you hear about this and you're like, what is wrong with people that they go so many times? Well, I'm going to explain a little bit about that. So I've always believed that there was a link to addiction and alcoholism, to imbalances in the brain, to blood sugar imbalances. And so I've tried everything. You know, I was on antidepressants, bipolar meds. I mean, I was on opiates, like, you know, to help me with my physical pain. And everything it made me feel worse, because I'm a very passionate person. Even when I was suffering, I put on a smile, and people didn't really know how bad it was. And so to be on a lot of those antidepressants, it like took my spark. Like, I felt nothing, like flatlined. And I'm like, I hate this. This is miserable. For me, it was. And then the other meds made me tired and groggy, and I just couldn't function. And so I was always searching for things. Well, eventually I got off my pain medication, my opiates. Fortunately, because I did overdose and I almost died a couple times. One time was a near drowning. And if somebody hadn't been there, I would have died. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I swear I have like 1 million lives. And so I'm thankful I found things to like keep me alive now and happily alive. So after time, I started drinking alcohol because I thought alcohol's not my problem, right? Alcohol's not my problem. Pills were my problem. I don't even like to drink. I don't even like how I feel. But when you have these imbalances, and I was in a very toxic situation at home, I was just trying to find something to numb me out, something to make me not feel the pain that I was in every second of my life. And I finally ended up, because alcohol is a depressant, you guys. People are drinking because they think they're going to feel better, but it gives them more anxiety. It makes you more depressed. It's a depressant, you know? And so I got to the point where I felt suicidal, and that goes against everything I believe in, everything that I am. I have fought to live. I have fought to survive. I have fought to find solutions. And I'm at this point where I took a knife to myself. Like, I felt like I couldn't live anymore, and I could never, ever intentionally take my own life. I lived for my children and being the best mom I could be, even though I was dying inside every day of my life, every second. Anything I could muster up was for my kids. And I finally was like, I don't have it in me anymore. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I knew I was going to end up dead. And my sister was like, you have to go back to rehab. And I'm like, I can't leave my kids for 30 days. My sister's like, well, you're going to leave them forever if you don't. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. So I went to my 5th rehab. I came out broken, even more broken than I've ever been, more distraught, more helpless, more hopeless, because all the imbalances were still there. I still had this happening, and all of the turmoil in I was starting to deteriorate. The doctors had told me that I'd be severely crippled by the time I was 30 years old because I have arthritis, degenerative arthritis through my whole body. I was in all this pain physically, like I was deteriorating, and I was so scared that it was happening. I was past 30 at that point, but I felt that it was happening. And I thought, no, but I had no hope anymore, you guys. Like, I've never felt so hopeless in my life. And at that point, I was like, I've tried everything. Like, I tried meds, I tried therapy, I did all this therapy and rehab, writing a letter to the baby and all of these things. And it was like, I still felt these clouds and this heaviness and my physical pain, my emotional pain, everything. And I've tried herbs and natural things. My grandma's an herbalist, and she has a wellness center out in, she had a wellness center out in Palm Springs. Sorry. She just died recently, but she's the reason why I found this stuff. She's the reason. And she was always trying to figure out what could help me. Sorry. But so that's when the journey began. Like, I prayed, because that's what I believe in. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need help. I can't function. Like, I'm going to end up dead. And I fought my whole life, and I just finally have no fight. And I've tried everything, natural, medical, therapy, everything. And I prayed and prayed and prayed. That week, my whole life changed, because Greg Halliday, the founder and president of Soul Naturals, happened to fly in from Utah, was sitting there with my grandma at her store. After hours, I was going because I didn't want to see anybody, and there Greg was, sitting there explaining to my grandma how he designed these combinations of adaptogenic products that specifically help create balance in the brain and the body. And I remember just thinking, what is he trying to sell my grandma? Everybody's trying to sell her stuff, to carry. But I was so broken, and I was like, I know he's a really good person, so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to listen to him. And his wife suffered from depression for 25 years, which was his motivation to find the right combinations, the right amounts, the right active ingredients, everything. So I listened to him, and I thought, I didn't think that was an answer to my prayer. I just thought, well, it's just like everything else I've tried, but what do I have to lose, right? So I decided to give it a chance. And I got the products. It wasn't, I actually borrowed the money from my grandma because I was so broke, which I was going to have to figure out a job on top of this. Mind you, I want to tell you this. I was married since I was 15. 100% dependent on someone else. I was a stay-at-home mom, barely graduated high school. I have no degree. I am not certified in anything. Like, I was terrible in school, and I had no self-esteem, no self-worth, felt like the stupidest person on the planet that didn't deserve anything but crap. I'm just keeping it real, okay? And I didn't know what I was going to do about work, because what the heck am I going to do, right? So I take a chance because I told myself, well, what do I have to lose? What if it works? And if it doesn't, so what? I waste so much money on other stuff, right? My Coach purses, my Starbucks, go out to eat all the time. Like, I'm worth, spending a little bit of money on, and what if it works? So I took a chance. I did 4 things. I did Cinemate, SolleVital, SolleFlex PI, and Adaptable. Those 4 things changed my life, balanced my blood sugar, got the inflammation under control in my body, which has plagued me since I was 16 years old. The clouds started going away, and I'm going to tell you something, you guys. I have been sober ever since. I just celebrated 8 years sober in July. I could never stay sober before this, because you know what? When you balance your brain, your body, you do not feel the same need to numb out on substances that hurt you. I would have never believed it if somebody had told me it was going to do this for me. And you know what? On top of it, it turned into a business, because I love helping people. That is oh my gosh, to have a job where I actually help people feel good, are you kidding me? And you know what? It turned into a 6-figure income for me. Like what? Someone like me, it's like it changed the way I viewed everything. It changed my brain so much that I all of a sudden felt like I could do anything. And when I saw the results that I got in 2 days, you guys, 2 days, and then I started seeing people reach out to me and say, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm doing. Well, could I try? Well, yeah. What if it helps you? What if it does, And so it turned into something so huge. I've traveled the world. Soul has paid for my trips. I've traveled all over the world with them. I've met the most amazing people you could ever meet. Okay? I have to pinch myself. So I went after 23 years of marriage. I was able to support myself and my children without depending on anyone else. I went through a very traumatic time in my life, and I didn't have to go work a 9-to-5 job because I had this. I was able to be with my children, be present with my children, still help people along the way, which helped me endure a lot of pain, being able to focus on other people. And it would have not have happened if I hadn't taken a chance on this. Do you know I started my business for $59, you guys? There's no strings with this. $59. That's how I started my business that created a 6-figure income for me, for someone who doesn't have a degree, isn't certified in anything. And here I am in a position where I'm able to do volunteer work that means so much to me, to be able to help people, to be present in my life, to not feel like I need to numb out. That is priceless, and to help people along the way. So if you're wondering if you should take a chance on Soul Naturals, don't waste any more time, you guys, because not only could you change your life, someone in your family's life, you will change other people's lives along the way. And what a gift that is. So thank you so much for being on with me and listening to me. And I cannot wait to hear your soul experiences.